Over the August bank holiday weekend, Britain's most exciting race series came to Brands Hatch. And 4 years since I last drove in the championship for Nissan, I was about to rejoin the team for 2 very eventful races. The modern touring car scene brings close racing, glamour, big names, and this year 8 different manufacturers head-to-head for a 13-meeting 26-race series. But what has made it such a success?
I think it's just the popular appeal of the cars. The customers and that are buying the cars and the race goers can identify with them. The cars in general they're driving to the race circuits or in their driveways at home are the ones that are racing on the track.
It's very cleverly designed to make very close racing. So the rules are really strict. The rules are everything. That makes a good championship or a bad one. That's the real appeal of British touring cars. Very close racing.
Anthony Reid was the man on form arriving at Brands, having won 3 of the last 6 races as he closed in on the championship leader Rickard Rydell. Aided by teammate David Leslie, the pair led the race for the manufacturer's title, and I felt like a nervous novice as I prepared for the feature race qualifying on Sunday morning. Tension in the car and in the pits. But a disappointing result.
I don't believe it. How much quicker is that?
15.15 seconds.
So that's on for a 45.0. So there I'm on for a 45.0 and about 8th on the grid. I go through one corner and cock it up, and I'm 18th on the grid. Oh, I'd be too frustrated.
Modern motorsport is all about high-tech systems with up to 40 sensors recording information that is then poured over on the garage computers. So does the driver matter?
At the end of the day, the driver's still very, very important. The whole package has to be complete, and without the right driver, you're not going to get it.
I really do like trusting my feel of the car, the way it behaves, and the interaction between the driver and the engineer. I still rely on that as the most important factor. But you can find out really quite amazing things by looking at the computer. Downforce, understeer, that sort of thing.
Time for another huddle with my engineer, Ronnie.
Well, you get to make it easy. Nailing it. And it's worse this afternoon. Because you're going to do 1 lap. That's it. Nothing else. No second chances, no nothing.
I'll be up. Second position. I'll be up. I'm not going to get depressed down there again. Yeah.
Still ahead of Mansell, it's all right.
Yeah.
Afternoon qualifying for the sprint race was a 1-lap shootout, running in reverse order from the morning session, so the quick guys go last and you slowly watch yourself being bumped backwards.
I'm getting pipped. I thought I'd done a slow time, my head was better, but I got some really good lines. There were places that I know I could have gone quicker if I had another lap, but this is the first time I've done this all year. But I'm just getting knocked down by literally hundredths of a second. Nobody's better than a 45.3, which I've done. I'm now 4th fastest, but by hundredths.
Time is disallowed, you're 3rd again.
I'm 3rd again. They keep on disallowing people's times. People are lowering their rider. Incredibly tight in touring cars. They have this front splitter that must be exactly within millimetres of a minimum ride height. 2 cars so far have come in, ride height's too low, they're at the back of the grid, and I'm up again. But if only I could have been that much faster across the finish line. I've been on pole at the moment.
But I wasn't. So come Monday morning I was 12th, 0.4 behind Leslie in 4th, but at least 0.8 ahead of Mansell down in 18th, as an empty Brands Hatch prepared for the race day invasion. For the mechanics, it's an early start to practice the compulsory feature race pit stop again and again and again, while the drivers are also about to be very busy as the marshals clear the way for the public walkabout.
You've got to be filming when the army comes. When they open the gates up at paddock, just like a tidal flow.
And soon the tide is upon you. Just how many autographs can you do in 1 hour? Ivan Muller, John Cleland, Paul Radicic, and of course our Nigel were all in demand, the former world champion as popular as ever with his adoring public. But all too soon the track was cleared, the tyres came out of their heaters and the time for joking was over as I prepared myself for the 25-lap sprint race. Revs rising, heartbeat pounding, ready for the off.
Into second place behind Anthony Reid. Reid first, then Thompson. Side by side, David Leslie in the white Nissan. And that's right ahead of us now. Leslie on the left, Rydell on the right. We're on board with Alan Menu. A bird's eye view as we go up into Druids.
While Mansell had a front row view of me clashing with his teammate Hoy, sending him into the gravel trap. Up at Druids, Nigel tried to go round the outside of the queue. But when he tried to move back, someone was there. For the third time in 4 races, the Mansell Mondeo ended its race in the barriers. The race restarted behind the safety car, Anthony Reid in the lead and me 11th, trying to find a way past Ivan Muller's Audi, but I was still glued to his bumper when the flag fell, with Anthony the winner and me happy to at least have been on the pace. The team were overjoyed with the result, but not everyone was having such a good day.
Started to come round to get on the line for the bottom end. Someone just smacked me so hard and straight up. And I tell you what, I was airborne like no tomorrow. And it's deliberate, and I don't care who it is, we protest them. We get them excluded, because I tell you, my back and everything.
Meanwhile, it was time for the Nissan boys to do the PR bit, which is as important for the modern touring car driver as wearing a helmet. 300 guests at £100 a head, it's big business. But it does give us a chance to meet our fans. Well, my sons at least. Back in the garage, spurred on by success, the mechanics are still hard at work preparing the cars for the 50-lap feature race. Their jobs never ever seeming to finish until the driver is finally strapped in the car. After the frustrations of qualifying, I now had to line up a lowly 18th and was determined not to get stuck at the back of a queue again. But a bogged down start didn't help. Right in front of me was Paul Radicic in the leading Peugeot. Sorry.
Van Muller's in there somewhere, so it's Cox, and then it's John Vincliffe, then Gravitt, then Needell. Now we're on board with Paul Radicic. He's bringing up there a big sideways movement there from Needell in the Nissan.
I tried to hold on round the outside at paddock, but ended up being pushed sideways by the other Peugeot of Tim Harvey. The plan wasn't working.
I'm getting assaulted by Peugeot.
Anthony Reid's plan wasn't working either, as he had championship rival Rydell in front of him, with David Leslie back in 6th, but heading for retirement. Pushed back by the Peugeots, I now had Mansell right behind me, and when I took the inside line for Druids, he whacked me up the rear. To gauge the impact, watch my head.
Oh, no.
With a car that now handled like a crippled crab, I soldiered on towards a lowly 15th place finish, stopping mid-distance to allow the boys in the pits to prove that practice makes perfect, the sort of service that helped them to the team's championship title at the end of the year. Up front, Reid finally found a rather robust route past Rydell and looked to be heading for a notable Brands double, while the team had radioed me to keep an eye on my mirrors in case he might lap me. No mention was made of the fact that Rydell was right behind. 1 lap to go and the race was still on.
Reid in control. We saw him win the first race this afternoon so easily. The only thing that's going to prevent her from doing so will be the traffic ahead. Well, look ahead. On the left is the Nissan of Tiff, Needell, and on the right is the Nissan of Anthony Reid. So there's Reid, he's through, and there's Needell, and he's really been slowed up.
It looked bad, but I really was just trying to keep out of the way as Anthony headed for the checkered flag once again. But Needell would have his revenge as the stewards deemed that pass a touch too robust and reversed the order of the top two. Nigel Mansell's race ended in the barriers again, and afterwards he tried, rather forcefully, to blame me for our little incident. The mechanics were still working as the long pack-up began, but it's a lot easier after a successful day, even if there is a bit of damage to be fixed when they get home.
It sometimes seems to say goodbye.
So, where was I? Oh yes. So Nigel said to me, I've forgiven you once, I'm not going to forgive you again. So I said, look Nigel, it's you that's ruined my race twice. How about you apologising to me?